had this idea, weirdly in the shower, to do a shower thoughts while I do shower makeup video. I haven't seen this idea done before, and I thought it would be kind of a cool idea to do, so I'm trying it out. We'll see if it becomes anything. Basically, shower makeup is just where you put makeup on with the intention of taking it off right after. So today I'm going to be doing an experimental makeup look, trying out some new things that I might not otherwise try because I'll be taking it off right after I'm done with this video, so no one in my life will have to see me looking like shit. While I do that, I want to talk about more introspective or just weird thoughts that I've had while in the shower or just zoning out. And to not waste any more time, let's just get into it. So when coming up with ideas for this video and just thinking about overall shower thoughts that I've had, I kind of came to a theme unexpectedly that deals a lot more with our societal creations, I guess, that like we as humans have come up with, and like why does this stuff exist and why do we as a society have it? So the first one that I was thinking of was time increments, and I don't just mean like months, days, whatever, because I can understand why we have days and years in particular, right? Days are obviously 24 hours and it's the Earth's rotation once, and a year is actually 365.25 days because that's the Earth's rotation around the sun. So that makes sense to me. And that's also why it makes sense that we have a leap year, because of course we're not going to have a fourth of a day. Every 4 years, 0.25 collects up and then it's another day. So I get all of that stuff. But what I don't really understand is, why do we have minutes, hours, seconds? Why do we split up the day that we have? I mean, we could literally do anything that we want to do with the time. Like, it does not have to be hours, it does not have to be minutes, it doesn't have to be seconds. But yet somebody said, we're gonna just count 1, 2, 3, 4. That's called a second now. Why? How did that come to be? I mean, I understand, like, I guess why we do, because it's so easy to split up the day and be able to track it. How did that ever come to be? I know that there's like different types of calendars and sundials and blah, 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 blah. I just find it very interesting that we split up the day that we have, and that we decided to split up a day into hours, and hours into minutes, and minutes into seconds, and seconds into milliseconds. Time is a human construct. There is the idea of a day, of a year, but we put meaning to that. We evenly like split up time in the way that we have. Months in particular, I find to be very strange. I mean, even just weeks. Why does there have to be 7 days in a week? Nobody said that there has to be 7 days in a week. Then on top of that, I'm thinking months. I saw a TikTok where somebody said that if we had 13 months instead of 12, it would actually be a lot easier because every month would be 28 days. And I'm like, so then why the fuck don't we do that? But I know that it would be difficult to have the whole world like correspond to that. Also, time zones, that's crazy to me too. It's 3 o'clock here, but in California, it's actually 1 o'clock. How do we know that it is the time that they say it is? When I was a kid, I remember that I thought of this when I was way younger. And one last thing about time, because I clearly am very obsessed with the idea of time. I guess I just wanted to put a little bit of knowledge out there that I learned, I think, when I was a sophomore in high school, which is that July and August are named after Caesars. And I don't just mean like, oh, somebody named, like they named Julius Caesar came up with the month of July for himself because he wanted a month. And guess what? He took a fucking extra day from February so that way July could have 31 days. And then you know what Augustus Caesar did? The same exact fucking thing with August. So that's why February only has 28 days. If Julius Caesar didn't deserve to die for every other little fucking thing he did, he deserves to die for that shit. Then again, I was born in July, so thank you. Another thing that it kind of led me to think about was we got measurements. Measurement of time. Well, why not just straight up fucking measurements of measurement? There's so many things that confuse me about measurements, units of measurement, because I'm like, who decided what an inch was? Did somebody just go like, yeah, that's a good measurement, and just stick it out? I know that's probably not an inch. I don't really give a shit, but I'm like, how did we figure that out? And then we made a ruler with inches and centimeters. How did that come to be? How did we know that, okay, 3 feet is a yard and that 12 inches is a foot? And also, yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. The fucking metric system versus the imperial system. Huh? Being somebody who lives with the imperial system, because the US has to be different, okay? She's not like the other girls. I don't understand why we have the imperial system. I feel like, isn't it like a shit ton of different measurements that they all just said, there you go, and that's ours now? So yeah, I'm gonna be the one to say it. Some things in America aren't better than everything else. Okay, we need to remember that, because the imperial system I definitely think is one of them, because I feel like, isn't it easier for the metric system? Like you have centimeters, and then you have meters, and then you have kilometers. all increments in like what, a fucking 100? Oh yeah, that's a lot easier to be able to figure the fuck out. So why do we do the things that we do the way that we do it? I don't know. Why do we have this stuff? I don't know. On the topic of measuring stuff, yet again, because I just can't seem to get my mind off of measuring shit. I feel like everybody knows where I'm gonna go with this, but temperature? We're gonna talk about Fahrenheit, Celsius. There's like a Kelvin. Not talking about Kelvin. Who cares about Kelvin, right? And if you're named Kelvin, I'm talking about you. No, I'm kidding. How do we know that, okay, yeah, it's 90 degrees outside. I'm boiling. How do I know that it's 90 degrees? How did we figure that out? So then we're also supposed to know like, oh, Fahrenheit and Celsius, and we are able to convert it. Isn't it like a super weird conversion too? And I also love that it's always the Brits having to be like, hey, here's a conversion. It's Celsius, but it's probably this amount Fahrenheit. I could not tell you what Fahrenheit is Celsius. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's 75 degrees out. Y'all can figure the fuck out what that means. Fahrenheit and Celsius are probably like somebody's last names, which that's also something I find so weird when I'm like, Disney is literally just somebody's last name. Walt Disney was a person and Disney's the last name. That's a whole different tangent. I like Fahrenheit for the simple fact of it's 90 degrees outside. Yeah, that feels accurate for what I'm feeling. Like 90 is a high number. This is a hot temperature. And the thermostats, how do they work? How does the thermostat in this house know that it's like 70 degrees in here? I think I'm talking way too much about temperatures at this point, you guys, and it's feeling a little nerdy. Am I right? So I'm actually going to be trying out something a little new for me, something that I haven't really attempted much before. We're gonna be doing a cut crease. These fucking scare me, and I just figured I would warn everybody that if this turns out like shit, this is a shower makeup video. Next topic, languages. Really thinking about not even just like there's a shit ton of them, but like the fact that humans talk. What I am doing with my mouth right now is simply just making sounds. Sounds that are words, but words because we came up with a communication system. Didn't I say I was gonna do a cut crease? So what the fuck am I doing with my lid? Because I'm gonna have to put concealer on top of this because I'm a stupid little bitch. The fact that like we put meaning to these words, like that I can say something and people understand what I mean by it. Like I can talk about being angry and you guys can completely understand how that feeling is just because I'm saying it. That's not even to talk about the amount of languages that we have. Like how did it originate? How did each single fucking language originate? I know that Latin is a huge originator of language and stuff. And the fact that like every human being has the ability to speak English, has the ability to speak Japanese, has the ability to speak German, and you have to use your tongue in so many different fucking ways to be able to communicate in the way that they do. I could never imagine being able to have a fluent German accent, but it's completely possible. It truly is like, I feel like such an accomplishment for humans to be able to communicate the way that we do. I mean, not even just in the way we talk, but also hand gestures and being able to assign meaning to body language. I think it's just really interesting. The fact that we can just have different words in different languages is so fucking cool. Yeah, love means something different in each language. And we derive words from other languages. Like I wouldn't know what the fuck Schadenfreude is if it weren't for the German language that has like a way more complex, like it's one word for a way more complex meaning than any English word can have. Legit all words. And like that's also slang. Any slang word comes from a different word, and now it just has become its own thing. No matter how passe some of them might be, it's crazy to think that like fleek is a word, and it's a word that people just know, and it's a word that somebody just came up with and created and everybody just got it. Phrases, idioms, metaphors, isn't that crazy that we just like we can say break a leg to somebody and people understand that that means good luck in the theater world. And that's another thing. Oh my God, ASL? Are you kidding me? The fact that we created a fucking language with our hands? Listen, there's a lot of shitty things in the world from war and genocide and death and blah, blah, blah. But the fact that remains is that humans are still very societal creatures. Like we need social interaction and collaboration. And I think it's so cool to think that even something as small as as language is such a collaborative process. Languages and how they're different also kind of really made me think about like the human race. I believe in evolution. You know, evolution has like really changed the way people look over time. And I guess in particular, it's made me wonder about monolids. Is that what they're called? It's the Asian eye feature where they don't have like a crease. How did that come to be? It's just basically Eastern Asian countries where they have that. And it's also like just crazy to think about genetics and like determining the way you look and your personality. So how come I'm predisposed to anxiety because my fucking family has anxiety? Why does everybody look different? And obviously there's doppelgangers, but the fact that each eye color, from what I distinctly remember hearing, is different. You have a unique eye color. I just find that to be crazy. I think I talked enough about genetics and the human race and everything for probably a lifetime. But another thing that I thought of is the idea of money. People on TikTok have always talked about like, oh yeah, you don't have enough money, why can't you just print more? Like, why does inflation exist? And I can't help but agree, but I also am just like, let's delve into it a little bit further. We rely on metal and paper to pay for things. Now, metal not so much anymore, and honestly not even really paper anymore if you think about it too, because shit, everything's like electronic now. I don't ever have to see money to know I have it in my account. Who is putting value on shit? Who is the one deciding that diamonds have value? Now, I understand economics to the point of supply and demand. So if there's a demand for stuff and there's a low supply of it, of course it's gonna be a lot more expensive. Why have we done that? Like, how do we decide the value of shit? And why do we have money as a currency? And also, like, how do we decide the value of the money? How do we decide how much it's worth in comparison to everybody else around the world? Moving on from money, because I'm kind of sick and tired of talking about something I don't have. Science and math in particular. Math is literally just people creating problems to solve them. And we're able to figure out shit with formulas. Huh? Like numbers, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and we just know. Oh yeah, 3 times 3 is 9, bitch. 3 plus 3 is 6. 3 is a number. You're probably sick and tired of hearing 3. It probably doesn't sound like a word anymore. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And we also determine the shape of it. 3. Yeah, let's make it an E backwards. Let's make it a little humpy, bumpy, dumpy. Really, in the grand scheme of things, this shit is so advanced. It really makes me appreciate the human existence a lot more. Science is something that we've created. Math is something that we created. And I just love that humans exist to try to solve problems that they ask the questions for. I will never not be blown away by shit that is supposed to just be super basic, but like I said, you never really think deeper in. And I really truly think it's just because the human condition, like, we've evolved such a long way from where we first started. And with that education comes, I don't know, a natural ability to pick up on this shit. I don't know, ranting, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is the final look. What do you guys think? I think that it actually turned out really well. I'm not gonna lie. As somebody who's always wanted to do more technical and experimental looks, to be able to pull this off and make it look the way I had it in my head, especially when I'm not used to doing this kind of stuff, I'm really proud of it. I have to say, I think it turned out really well. As for my shower thoughts, those are only some of the thoughts that I've had that make me think deeper about life and dissect everything and its meanings. I think they can be easily overlooked because the stuff is naturally ingrained in our lives, but I always like to stop and think about how things so simple came to be. If you would like to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit the like button. And if you would like to see anything else that I like to make, from reaction videos to gaming videos to makeup videos or anything in between, make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, that'll do for this video. See ya. Bye. What did you say? Bury him alive? What am I doing?